the way I wanted to do it,
So Tarak will
yeah.
introduce and
Yeah.
then we'll hand it over to you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
welcome everybody to the 2026 call for AWAAI. This is our very first Learn and Lead session for 2026, and we are super excited that you guys are still very enthusiastic about AI and decided to join on a Monday evening. And we have an exciting session planned for today. We'll do the regular housekeeping items. So we'll have the presentation for about 30 minutes. And then while the presentation is going on, please keep yourself on mute. Feel free to drop in your questions in the chat. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Padmini, who is going to introduce our speaker. And then once the session is done, you will have a chance for a 10-15-minute Q&A. So with that, Padmini, go right at it. And welcome, Tarak. We're super excited to have you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Sorry for the background noise. Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome, Tarak. Tarak is the co-founder of InfraCodebase, where he builds scalable cloud platforms and modern delivery pipelines. Prior to founding InfraCodebase, he's worked in large complex organizations, including Sodexo, Deloitte, and Continental Automotive, operating at the intersection of business, law, and technology. He's a three-time founder with a background in business management and corporate law, trained across the US and France. Tarak, so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. So usually I see that as a discussion, but I will apply your rules. So if you have any questions, you can directly write into the comments. So one thing that I wanted to do as well is like, there is a use case that a lot of people ask me to build is like, everyone knows about Lovable, everyone knows about all the other product on vibe coding and so on. But how do we go from vibe coding to ready to deploy infrastructure? When I speak about infrastructure, I speak obviously about cloud infrastructure. It could be on AWS, it could be on Azure, it could be on GCP, wherever the cloud provider. So right now I'm going to be really like hands-on. This session for me is, I don't have slides. We directly go into the tech. Like that, we make it really tangible for people who can listen to us. So let me share my screen and let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. So, but I cannot see you anymore, but I think it's fine. So here, I'm on Lovable. I chose Lovable. I could have chosen Bolt. I could have chosen another product. Lovable is because, to be honest, I'm using it on a regular basis. And the first thing we're going to do is we go to templates. Why we go to templates is because I really want to make it accessible to everyone who uses Lovable today. So for example, let's say that we choose this design, minimal architecture. I can use the template. And I should be able to actually use the template. Give me 1 minute. I think it's something with Lovable here. And then you read more. Oh, this is okay. I think I need to use mine then. Okay. So one thing that I wanted to do was, for example, you invite your collaborators, but one thing that I built, for example, for InfraCodebase, I was not supposed to release it, but I think it's the demo effect, is like we are building a partnership program to grow with people. So we grow with consultant, we grow with, for example, ambassador and so on. Didn't want to promote this page, but I guess it's the only one who was basically working here. So here I go and sync, I connect to GitHub. So now I'm going to be, oh, can you pause is it possible? Because I do not know why nothing is working.
Pause the recording, Tarak?
Yes.
Okay, let me just pause it.
So for example, I'm going to work on this one. From this one, I'm going to connect to GitHub. Then I connect the project to InfraCodebase. Perfect. Now it's going to work. So for example, let's say that you build any product on Lovable. It could be a web a website, it could be an application, whatever you want. The goal is like to build a bridge between Lovable, what you build on vibe coding, to basically infra code base. Once you have done it, then here I'm going to copy. So remix, I'm going to copy the name here, and now I go into my own product. Now what I'm going to do is to create a new workspace, and I import from GitHub. I choose infra code base, and here I load this one. So as you can see, I create now the workspace, and everything that I had on basically Lovable here and on GitHub is what I have on infra code base now. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the Terraform MCP, and now I can start building on infra code base directly. So now, for example, what I want to do is like use the Terraform MCP to write the Terraform code following.
Tarak, if you can, for those who are not completely technical, if you can explain just in one line what Terraform is, what MCP is, that
Yes.
good.
So basically, Terraform, so it's a language. Terraform HCL has been created by HashiCorp. Basically, the Terraform is a way to manage cloud infrastructures. Is what we call infrastructure as code. So here, basically, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the MCP. So before AI, it was all about integration, and all now it's more about MCP. And it's a way for me to query directly from HashiCorp all the latest updates, all the Terraform modules, all the right code to be able to then manage my infrastructure directly. So what I'm going to do is like, now that I imported my project directly from GitHub to infra code base, now I'm going to manage it on Azure and AWS and on Terraform. And I think, Evan, you know what I mean, right? Perfect.
Yes.
So now
yes.
what I'm going to do is like use the Terraform MCP to write the Terraform code following the best practices Terraform modules for both AWS and Azure. Like that, we can also build a multi-cloud, and we are going to work on both. So now is going to understand all the code base that I've already imported earlier, is going to run the MCPs that I asked. So I went directly from a prompt. Usually you think about prompt or you think about specification, the more explicit you are in the way you're writing a command to AI, the better result you will get. Now it's because you already understand the context and is able to build what I'm asking. And what is important as well is like you see here, I'm always able to follow what infra code base is doing. Like you see here, it's all the steps. So 7 tasks to build, create the project structure, build the AWS networking and everything. And at the end of the day, it will create the architecture diagram for me to visualize everything that I wanted. And now, as you can see, it's still reading the Terraform MCP here. And now it's writing files and all. So one of the main USPs or main values, I would say, of infra code base is basically not having the black box. It's being able to always keep the human in the loop, always understand. So when people say, for example, that AI is going to be replacing people, to be honest, I don't believe so. I really believe that it's more collaboration between human to machine, so human to AI in this case, because I am the one prompting, I am the one who wants a specific output, and based on the context that I'm going to inject and that I already injected on infra code base, is able to build what I ask in a more, I would say, programmatic way or deterministic manner. It depends on how we want to say it. If you have any questions, please.
Yeah, Tarak, if the infra changes, is it easy to update? Does it write a new Terraform or update the existing Terraform?
It updates the existing one. So, for example, you already wrote Terraform code on GitHub, Bitbucket, whatever. You can import it, and then you can use the MCP to follow the latest practice, the latest update, the best practices, and everything. We are actually doing a lot of work on this. Is what we call legacy infrastructure modernization. Yeah.
So Tarak, once we connect, so just to recap, we
Yes.
went to Lovable, we
Yes.
picked our template or we wrote something up and we created vibe coded an app in Lovable. Then we
Exactly.
connected it to GitHub.
To GitHub, yes.
And then
We went here.
We went to GitHub.
Exactly. And then from that, I
copied.
took the name.
Okay.
Then I went on InfraCodeBase directly and I imported the repository. From the repository, the next step is to convert the code that you see here that is not infrastructure as code.
Yeah.
That is, for example, .js. And now because I am going to imagine that I would like to deploy this infrastructure, I need to write it, I need to manage it under infrastructure as code on both AWS and Azure. And this is the work that we are doing now. And after, I need, of course, to test the code, meaning do the security scanning, do the code quality and so on, to be able to then provision the infrastructure that I wanted. So we went from a software, let's say most software engineering code to an infrastructure as code for cloud engineers that are able to deploy the infrastructure directly in their subscription.
So then once we make the connection between Lovable and GitHub, then we stop there and we come to InfraCodeBase.
Yes.
And then we go to InfraCodeBase, we say import repository and copy the project from GitHub and paste it in there. And it will automatically do the rest, creating the...
Like what we are saying live. I'm not touching
right
anything.
Now. Okay, amazing.
I'm not touching anything, and you can actually follow that now we are at step 4. So we are building the Azure Compute module, and of course it depends. Like I'm speaking about Terraform, but it is language agnostic. So what you can do is write on Bicep. Bicep is for Azure, for Microsoft. CloudFormation is for AWS. Terraform is across cloud providers. It's just that for the session today, I wanted to basically manage it under Terraform, but it's infrastructure as code agnostic, and I could build on any cloud providers. Just the major one today are AWS and Azure, but I could do that on GCP, on IBM, on OCI, whatever cloud provider I need.
Is there any particular file that should exist in the GitHub for us to do this? I mean, what are the chances that we'll run into an error when we paste the project name in InfraCodeBase? I mean, is there anything that we should say, okay, this file exists, okay, we are good?
Because to be honest, I looked at very quickly at the files, but it's not about the files, because after InfraCodeBase is basically reading all of the files here, and then is able to convert directly all of these languages that is not infrastructure as code into infrastructure as code directly using the Terraform MCP. So I never encountered an issue when importing a GitHub repository. And again, when I speak about GitHub repository, we need to think about Git providers. When we think about Git providers, we speak about GitHub, ADO, Bitbucket, GitLab as well. It's just that GitHub, again, is the most used one, but if people are using something else, they could do that as well here. And of course, like instead of me needing to write the code and spend, I don't know, maybe a few hours, a few days, and so on, right now I can take a coffee with you, I can speak with you, I don't do anything, but I still need to check what the AI is doing. We didn't want to build a fully automated AI because I don't think we are at this step yet. So I really believe in the human in the loop. So I really believe in AI as more as an enabler. We clearly need to define the spec, and after it's the AI to write the code, to write the diagram, and so on.
And Tarak, is it logging all this? How do we check the logs to see what it's doing?
Because it's still writing files, and after you will have two things. I just want to have the magic, but once it's done, we will see two things. We will see basically all of the files. I will show it to you, and we'll have as well the diagram that we will create.
Okay.
So it's actually telling you, right? Is, for example, now it was actually writing the Azure output.tf, then the Azure main.tf, the variables, the providers, the Terraform.tf, the outputs. You can also follow everything here, for example. And now it's doing AWS README. So he wrote around 34 files already. So that's why it's taking long, because when we don't know, we believe that it's not a long project, but I believe it's maybe thousands of lines of code that he has been able to read, and now that he's able to convert all of it into infrastructure as code. So now he's finding the icons to create the diagram. So let's see what we have. He's writing the diagram as well now. And just with one prompt. Like he has been able to do that just with one prompt, and the prompt was not that long. It was actually a short one, and he has been able to do all of his work. And then, based on the results, then we can optimize, we can prompt again, we can do back and forth between the result and the prompt.
Can you share that prompt, Tarak?
Taking the airport shuttle.
Yes.
What prompt you use? Yeah, thanks.
Here.
You can drop it in chat.
Yes. So it's still working on tasks. Now it's just 100%. It will be done. Just waiting for it to be done, and then after I can work on that. This is an improvement that we have done this weekend, actually. Like, because it was very dark. We wanted something more colorful, more pleasant when people are waiting to get the results, but so we wanted something more polished. So we did actually, yeah. In the chat. Thank you so much, even. Yes, bicep is for native. Yeah. And now, so I pasted the prompt as well. And what is interesting is when I do sessions also with junior cloud engineers, we used to believe that when they were using AI, basically it's like they were learning less. To be honest, it's the contrary. They're learning way more, because by writing a prompt, they can actually explicitly say what they want to work on. So they're learning, like the learning curve is way faster now. So yeah, we created both, right? We created AWS, we created this. So for example, now we can modify it. We can say, for example, it's too crowded. We can modify the Azure, we can modify the AWS. And on the code side, like everything has been created. So you have, for example, here, all of your code for AWS, all of your code for Azure. So for example, here it's per environment as well. So you have dev, you have prod, you have staging, you have the module as well. You have the compute, for example, here you can look at it, it's a module. And what is interesting here as well is like you can read the project summary. So for example, now what I can do is like create a folder called JSON and include all the .json files in it. Like that, we can restructure the way. I really like to have folders, and in each folders, all of the files. Like that, I do believe it's more clean. But Padmini, this is the architecture that I was showing you. And for example, when you want to tweak it, we can improve it as well. And we're doing a lot of efforts on improving directly from AI to infrastructure. And I think even you kind of also know that this kind of work on creating design, because we're not creating a website or we are not creating an app. We are creating like, it's more complex, I would say.
So Tarak, can you share like what are some of these things that have been created
Yes.
as part of this?
Yes.
If you
So
can
for
zoom in and
example,
share.
yes, here is like energy network security group that is secure, is securing the public subnets here and the public subnet too. So we have two public subnet. Based on that, we can also understand like the VM scale set manages the virtual machines, which the virtual machine then send telemetry to the application insights, and this one as well. So actually it's a live design, it's not a static one. Every time we click on a resource, we can directly understand like then all the interaction, we can understand the flow. I don't know how to say it. Flux, the movements. We can understand basically the movement, like energy is securing the public subnet and all. And same thing for AWS. Like if you look, this is a VPC. Then in the VPC you have two public subnets, two private subnets. Here, for example, it manages. So let's say application load balancer is linked to internet gateway. But yes, it's high level. It's technical as well. It's for cloud engineer. But you kind of understand if you have even if you have basic knowledge about the cloud, you kind of understand the resources, the way they are working together, and so on. But also you can prompt the AI. You can ask, why did you create, for example, this diagram? If we want, we can ask the AI to really explain. And then we have as well here the code. And then we can also, for example, here, if I want to do something else, I can directly create a new folder called, for example, JSON. It's this, and then now I can just include it in here. And I can drag and drop, for example, all of these resources like that. It's already there. You have the README. The README is basically what you need to do, what you need to use for the documentation. So we build in a matter of minutes multi-cloud Terraform infrastructure modules on both AWS and Azure. You have the project structure here. And if I want now, for example, what I can do is that I can just say, okay, now run tfsec, check of Terraform validate and Terraform plan, do the remediation. Why am I doing that? Is because a lot of people know that when you generate code with AI, you still need to test it. We used to think that because AI was generating the code that we could deploy directly. Actually, I would say that it's more important than ever to basically test the code. So for example, what I've done right now is because I worked on Terraform, so I'm running specific commands check off TFSec, Terraform validate to check both security and code quality. And the plan is to be able to understand what I'm going to provision. Like that now, the next step could be, I'm not going to do it, but the next step could be provisioning. When I speak about provisioning, I speak about, okay, we are happy with the results. We have checked everything. We can also implement, for example, cost analysis if we wanted. But once we have done it, then we can deploy it. So we can provision the infrastructure directly in our AWS and Azure Cloud subscription.
So Tarak, can we add an extra VM and all that from within that architecture diagram? Can we do
Yes.
that? Or,
But one thing
and
as
it will
well is
update
like,
the code,
exactly, because if not, you have a drift.
right?
And the design is a pure representation of what has been written in the code. If not, basically, it's the issue that people have when they manage different products for one design and for one code. Is like, for example, you have a cloud engineer that is modifying a code, but it is not reflected directly in the design. So you have a drift, so they are not updated both. So if we wanted, for example, to add more resources, then basically we will need to modify both code and design. So the AI will take care of both. But our goal as cloud architect is to be able to have a faithful representation of the code. If not, it will be, for me, in my opinion, it will be wrong to do something else.
No, so sorry, I didn't follow. So if we add more resources through that architecture diagram, it will update the code or it will
It
not
will update the
it?
code directly because it's
It will,
always
okay.
synced. So
Okay.
we generate the design from the code. The code is the source of truth. So if you want to update the design, it will update both code and design. I was speaking like that because I still see a lot of cloud architects using different products, one product for design, one product for code. And then they're sometimes not in sync. So this is what we call a drift between these two elements. But by using an infracode base, the code as a source of truth, then everything that we do in one, it will be reflected on the other. Or maybe it's too technical what I'm saying, I don't know.
So what are we doing right now? What is
Right
this
now we
doing?
are checking. So here, right now what we are doing is like I run.
The security you ran, right? For Terraform.
Exactly. We are running, but because it's a large code base,
Welcome to Break and Now.
what we are doing is validating the configuration. It's basically making sure that the code that has been written and by the AI is actually valid. We clean the Terraform. So like that, at the end, it will give us an output. It will give us a security score. We can continue updating it. Or if we want it and we are satisfied with the result, we can actually deploy it. So for example, this work, a cloud engineering team, and we can actually do the test. I will ask here. Now compare what we have built so far since the first prompt to how long an engineering team would have taken to build it, and also show me the cost and show me how much it would have cost to the engineering team / company. Because right now we are talking, right now we just created a use case. If you were a cloud engineer, to do this kind of work could have taken weeks. We started working at 6:15, let's say 6:15. Right now it's 6:38. So basically, in less than 25 minutes, we reduced the time to market. We went from weeks of writing the code, creating the design on both cloud providers, AWS and Azure, then test the code to make sure that it's valid. All of this reduced to minutes. So that's why I really like when people tell us that, for example, we cannot use AI at scale and all. It depends how we use it. We can use AI at scale. For me, AI is a new tech. We just need to clearly understand how we can use it. But once we do, I cannot say it's magic because I don't like to believe in magic. But yeah, it's an
But
enabler.
Tarak, what happens if you leave these resources on all the time because they're going to charge? So can you tell, can we, like when I was using the cloud, they told me shut down all VMs after midnight or something.
Yes.
Can you tell script to do that or schedule that
Yes.
it doesn't
The
run
only
every
the only
PM?
thing is that we haven't provisioned the resources yet. So,
Okay.
but we could basically work on creating automation directly from the product once we basically provision the infrastructure. Yes. One thing that I used to run as well, but it depends on how much details you want and so on. But something that I'm running is like cost optimization scenarios.
Mm.
So before basically shifting left again, it's before provisioning any resources in the cloud. I shift left to the extreme, and to the extreme is at the code level. At the code level, I need to make sure of three things. The code is actually well written, so it doesn't have any syntax issues. The code is actually secure. And third is how much is going to cost me. Once I know everything about I created different scenarios, then I can actually deploy. But I don't know how much the group wants me to go into details. Like I am torn. I go high level, but to also use for some things.
Right.
But we could do sessions together. I would love that, and we can really go more into details.
So for someone who's developed an app in pipe-coded something and they want to, take that and now give it to their client, right?
Yes.
And they are building this for a client, they give it to their client. They can use infracode base to then have it like provision the client's environment and have it
Yes.
deployed on the.
Yes.
So going that entire cycle, we can't do it here because we are not provisioning it here right now, right?
Right now I don't, but right now the only thing that I need to do is basically Terraform apply, run it, that's it. By doing this command, I basically ask to provision the entire infrastructure. This one is a demo, like we're doing a demo together. If I were in the real setting, I will do everything now that I'm doing, but I will conclude it by doing a Terraform apply, so meaning provisioning the infrastructure. I could do everything from here.
So
It's
where
just
do
that we
we,
went from an existing code base. This time we didn't go from a greenfield to a fully ready infrastructure to deploy. We went from a brownfield, something that existed in another language. So it was not Terraform, it was basically another language. And we went from that to basically infrastructure as code, and I can do the provisioning now.
oh, this is amazing. So, but where do we configure what, like the clients, all the details for the client, like what their, their Azure details are, where do we do all of that in InfraConfig?
Yes. So here you go to tools. In tools, you go to what I was showing you earlier. Here you go to, for example, you go to manage. And here you can actually look at edit the connection. I shouldn't show this but basically you need to put all of your client secret and so on, and then basically it's going to work. I shouldn't show that because in terms of security, especially that it is recorded, usually it's personal information, but I think you got the point. You go to the MCP, to the registry, you choose the MCP that you want, and from that, you configure it.
You have a question in the chat.
Do you have any thoughts on how is the identity of agents who might be standing up in front via Terraform being managed? Do you have any thoughts on how is the identity? So I think Evan asked me the question the last time that we did this a webinar together. What do we call identity of agents? Because for me, agents don't have identity. So what is an identity of agents? What is
Right.
identity?
It's 6:45. I'm sorry, that's my audio timer. But you know, this is, I think, one of the common challenges, and just, you know, sort of like a general chat about it is in terms of, you know, the right authorization, the right access at the right time in a control, you know, being able to apply controls, because I think that's
Yes.
where some you know,
Understood.
configurations need to have that specificity. And if it's, I don't care if it's going through an MCP, you know, like server, at the end of the day, if an agent is going to call that, then what are those, like, how is that fine-grained control being put in, especially if an agent is calling infrastructure? Just, you know, general thoughts.
Yes, no, you're right. It's an excellent question. So one thing that we did, and one thing that I showed you at the beginning, is you're right. If I directly go into the workspace without putting any guardrails, any rules, anything, then we already know the output of what I'm going to tell you. But basically, by setting up all the workflows, the rule sets, and the tools and creating the sub-agents, this is why I spoke about layers. Basically, by doing that, you kind of control the way the agent is behaving. So the more context, the more information, the more guardrails you give to the agents, the more the agent is going to behave in a more predictable manner. So it's always thinking about context engineering, giving the right data to the AI, to the agent, to be able to control the way it behaves. Of course, it's the beginning. Not a lot of people have answers about identity of agent, because even me telling this, my answer, I don't consider my answer as an answer to identity of agents. For me, what I said is, how can we put the right guardrails to make sure that the AI is going to behave in a more predictable manner? But my answer has nothing to do with identity. So for me, it's quite new to really talk about identity. That's why I asked you, like, what does this word mean? Because I wanted to be sure, like, and the way you answered was more for me about guardrails, about getting this, and like for the AI to behave in a more predictable manner than the identity of which agent is using what. Because which agent is using what, like for example, on infracode base, you can directly see that once we are running, for example, the agents for architecture diagram, we have a specific agent. Once we do git commit, we have a specific agent. For me, identity is really being able to distinguish which agent does what based on which permissions. It's like airbag for us, for human, rule-based control access, but it's more applied to AI. So there are two answers. One guardrail, one is identity and being able to understand what does what based on which permission.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, that makes a lot of sense to me. Sorry, just one follow-up question. So where are you managing this? Where's your visibility, observability? What is that? I think I saw AWS security or something there. Is that where you're able to see if the, like how the infrastructure management layer, the posture management, is that where you're seeing that?
Infrastructure management.
So when infrastructure stood up through Terraform, right?
Yes.
According to
Yes,
certain
yes.
configurations, then, you know, the visibility to that for ongoing monitoring, is that also?
It's directly based on that's why I was telling you like on this as well. Like it's always giving you like the visibility on the different tasks. And because one challenges that we all have in the industry is AI behaving as a black box. We don't control. Like if you go to ChatGPT, for example, you don't have the maximum control, you don't have the maximum visibility. So this is more being able to really like when I write a prompt, I think more at the spec. Once it's development, spec driven development, and based on that, what we build with my co-founder is basically a way for people to really look at what are the tasks that are that the AI agent is doing. So in Infracode base, we have multiple agents. We have also sub agents based on different tasks that we ask. But for example, for this, what we did was based on this, we had the security remediation summary. So we understand everything that has been done. And what I wanted to show you as well is what we build. So for example, here we wrote around 1,200 lines of code. Based on that, here is 1,000. So basically it's around 2,200. And what is important as well is like, if you go to the end, you see this. So infrastructure represent this. So a company would have paid more than $100,000 to build what we built during a demo session. And it would have taken 5 months. So what we build in half an hour, in 1 hour, let's say 1 hour, a company can use this product to reduce the time and reduce drastically the cost. Because one thing that we are doing as well is, so you go to settings, you go, for example, to billing, modify the plan, and this is how much it costs. Like, for example, now we consume around 1,000 credits, so it will cost $40. So by buying 1,000 credits, we basically 1,000 credits, so $40 compared to this. So the ROI of AI is directly measurable here, both in terms of time and in terms of cost. And I think, Evan, you know what I'm speaking about as well. Like a lot of people, I cannot say the name, but a lot of people right now are building these cloud infrastructures. They spend a lot of time, and by using our product, basically they reduce that drastically. And I don't know if you have other questions, but one question that I had is, was it useful? Now do you understand? Like, I know maybe the audience is not really like cloud engineer and all, but at least did you, like, I really wanted to show you a practical example. I didn't want to come here with slides and so on, but directly go more into the tech. So like, was it at least a little bit useful to show you how AI could also be applied to something as specific as cloud infrastructure management?
No, thank you. This was good. Just for us to be able to see the whole cycle, want to be able to see how once we work it into production. Right now, this looks great, but so if at some point you can show something that has been deployed, based on this.
I cannot show what has been deployed because I'm using directly my Azure subscription. So if I do this, I break the 1,000 of users who are using Infracode base now. Because if I provision my infrastructure, then it touches directly the product. And we are 10 people, but there are 1,000 of people using our product today.
So is there any website link or something that you can share, which
Yes,
is running
yes.
on, what you have done. And so if you can
So-
drop that in chat, that would be great for us.
One thing that I can do is and one thing that I'm sharing a lot on LinkedIn as well is shareable workspaces. So for example, here, if we look at
To
this,
increase TSA security.
I put it in public. Of course, we can tweak the design and all, but once you click on the link here, so first create your account, but once you click on the link, you will be able to fork the project the same way you will do it on GitHub and continue working on it. And then you can provision directly. I would say don't provision if it's not your work, because why cost will occur if it's something that you want to test. Just, test it, but destroy it. So if you want to do it, you have two commands to run. First one is Terraform apply. The second one is Terraform destroy. Like that, you don't have any cost that occur. And as is not your job, you can actually check what happened in prod, but then destroy because they charge a lot, like AWS and all this. What we created will be expensive for you to run. But yeah.
Sai, you have a question?
Yes. So Tarak, firstly, this will be really helpful for me at this stage while I'm building one application on Lovable. I'm not
Great.
more into technology and I have some basic doubts. So when we do any changes on the Lovable, how does the changes reflect on the infrastructure? How does it happen technically or logically behind? Does it really is it able to handle even the dynamic changes that happen on Lovable?
I would say the code that you can see here, so I don't know how long we still have, but for example here, if I show you the code that we have on here, it's like I say okay, and I show you the code.
Okay.
This code, you can look at it, it's JSON and all. It has nothing to do with infrastructure. Like you can modify the code from here once you are a paid customer. You can modify the code, but it has no relationship between this and the code that I generated on InfraCodeBase. The code that I generated on InfraCodeBase is more backend. It's more like infrastructure. This is more front end. Lovable is great to build front end application and you directly see the code that is related. When I look back on InfraCodeBase, all of its code, like on AWS, for example, when you look at, let's say, when you look at the main, it's separate. So you cannot have a drift because the two codes are not the same.
Okay,
It's
got
not
it.
the same language, it's nothing. So that's why I also believe in the power of this product. And when I'm speaking, to be honest, I don't speak as a founder, I speak as a user myself because I'm using the product every single day. But here is not the same. What we did today was going from a code that software engineering team could write to we build a bridge between software engineering and cloud engineering. Cloud engineers usually don't write on JSON. They could, but usually they write on infrastructure as code. But they don't need to write on Terraform, but at least they write on infrastructure as code languages. So what you're telling me about Lovable, you could basically do the same thing.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you, Tarak.
You're welcome.
So Tarak, how many free credits do people get to start, if they want to create a
500.
login?
500. One thing as well that I would like to say is I show you the pricing, but from us, to be honest, what we built day one was what we call the referral program. So because it's community based, our goal is really to grow with you. It's not to get the money or anything, but to grow and to grow with you. So for example, here, every time you recreate your account, you will have 500 credits. Once you run out of the 500 credits, you have two ways to continue building. You pay, or you can use this referral link. Every time, for example, you use this referral link and someone else create the account, you have 250 credits. So for now, for example, there are people who have thousands of credit because they share, and there is no limit on the number of times that you can share. So it's 500 to start, and then with your network, you can grow it.
Is there a user guide that you've created? I know you demoed it, but is there like a user guide to say how to go through step by step?
Yes, there is one. I don't say user guide, but basically I'm putting the community and contribution as well. Is like our YouTube channel. So your YouTube channel is different language. For example, here you have it in Spanish. I can put it in French, in different languages, but I can directly give you this. And for the people who didn't attend to the last webinar, then you can also watch the one that Evan watched as well. So I can share with you this if you want in the chat like that. Maybe it could be useful for you to understand. And as well, you can connect directly with me on LinkedIn. And to be honest, I love doing sessions with people.
So because there's like that, that DF applied, DF, the
He has
teardown,
nothing
all
to do
those.
with he has
So
nothing
all
to
that,
do with Infrared base.
I
He
know
has
it is
everything-
basically
yeah.
Terraform commands, but for people to use it and try it, was there like a short, how do we start? What do we first do? What do we say? If you're able to
Yes, the
send that
videos.
in, yeah. Are you able to give us a set of commands that we can share it with the community?
I can
You-
try
that you
to think. I
use?
can try to think about it, but because this product is so flexible that right now I started, for example, directly from GitHub. I see a lot of people starting from a design that they wrote on Draw.io, Lucid, or anything, and importing it in the product. So you have so many use cases that it really depends. So that's why I suggest that everyone who wants to go further, contact me and we do a session together. Yes, Kems.
Hi, this is not really about the presentation, but in the very early of the presentation, you talked about this one sentence. You were saying you don't believe AI will take over humans' jobs because we have to be
No.
the one prompting for them to do it.
Yeah.
Right now, I see the industry is heading towards not prompting kind of infrastructure, but like an agent first infrastructure. What's
This-
your view on this?
This is so you have two kind of product on the market today. The people who have created their SaaS before AI and use AI as a feature. I consider that more marketing than anything else. Or the AI native. For example, for product like Lovable, like Infrared base, without AI, it doesn't exist. So what we build is AI native. But what I'm trying to say when I say that is like, to be honest, is not AI that is going to replace other people, is the people who are using AI that are going to replace the others. Now, for example, I compare the work that we have done together today to the work of a traditional cloud engineering team. Obviously, I went faster and more secure and less costly. So, and it's me as a human who did all of this. So really like tech is tech. Like we are the human, we are the people who control the tech. The tech is not controlling us. I didn't build a robot. I built a way as an enabler. That's why I deeply believe that AI, if we use it well, it can really improve our lives. And the people who are using AI are way, not better, I don't want to say better, but way faster, more secure, efficient, yes, than others. Yes. But
Thank you.
Infrared base is an AI native product. Without AI, it doesn't exist. You cannot use it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a great question because, to be honest, I saw that for quite a long time on LinkedIn. I see it less and less and less now. I don't read it anymore. But at the beginning, it was like, yes, AI is going to replace the work of other people. It's like if you will tell me a self-driving car is replacing drivers, it's not the case. You still need human in the loop. Still need people who control the steering wheel. It's the same thing with AI. And it's not only on cloud infrastructure. It's the same thing with AI for me everywhere. As long as the people who create this machine like us who are thinking about more in terms of interaction, AI and human. There will be always people who will create a self-service AI that can think for itself. Padmini knows, she's at the event and she knows that this kind of machine doesn't exist for now. And I don't believe in it. So
All right.
humans are still very important.
That was very, very helpful, Tarak. I know it's also very late for you, and we are a
No
few minutes
worries.
over.
I am good.
You
Thank
can go. I know you are like, on steroids, and which is amazing. But I think just in the
Yes.
essence of time, we wanted
Thank
to
you.
just wrap things up. And once again, thank you so much for
Thank
an
you so
amazing
much for you.
session. I learned so much. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And I know I will have to go back to the recording to cap certain snippets. And with that, we also wanted to thank everybody for kicking the year off with us. Stay tuned. There is going to be another session happening on January 23rd. We'll be having an amazing speaker also dialing in from Europe. And it's actually going to be in the morning time. So stay tuned. We will be posting, and that will also be a little bit hands-on. It's going to be around like automation, but yeah, stay tuned. And with that, thank you and have a wonderful evening. Yes.
Uvika
Yes.
and Padmini, can you grab the doc I put in the chat?
Yes,
Yes.
we can absolutely do that.
He did an amazing job. I'm not surprised. He did an amazing job. He basically shared with you the Terraform comments. I guess it's Terraform validate, Terraform apply, Terraform destroy is amazing.
You're
That's what I
amazing,
think as well.
Evan. Thank you so much. We'll go ahead
Thank you
and
so
make
much,
sure
And
it's
everyone.
I
posted.
shared my LinkedIn as well. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, please do so. I would love to do
Yes,
such
do. Tarak is very helpful. And my God, sometimes I feel he's a bot. He does not sleep. He responds right away on LinkedIn. So
Yes.
feel free to message him. And Padmini also needs to get out of the airport. So thank you so much and
Thank you so
have
much.
a wonderful evening. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.